The last few weeks, we have been talking about the ethnic forecast, if you like, over at AEW, but we're done kind of complaining about it. And today we are going to try and bring some solutions to the issues, as well as talk about everything else in Black wrestling this past week. You are tuned in to WrstlXtra.
Yo, 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 yo. This is WrstlXtra, and I am your boy ADazzle. This is my tag team partner, Mekz, the WrestleManiac, if you will. That's like LA Night, if you will. Folks, we are on live on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel, and of course, for those who are listening on the AffinityExtra.com. I always start the show like that, like I have to breathe a sigh of like, oh God, right. This is what we're going to have to do today. This is what we're going to talk about today.
Here we go.
Here we go again. But you know what? I'm going to start on a positive because we're going to kind of go through the show, or at least the first half, I guess. Almost a negative, trying to find a positive. Let me start on a positive. The positive was All Out. All Out was, all in all, a great show. All in all, a very good show. I was saying before the show, a few days leading up to the show, that the card itself did not inspire me. And that's not a whole, because it was all white. We'll get to that part in a bit. But, there was nothing that really kind of made me feel, whoa, this is going to be amazing. Young Bucks, Lucha Bros, possibly. But it's been seen before. It's been done before. Not necessarily in a cage, but we've seen them go at it enough times. And we know it's going to be good. So I wasn't like overly like, oh my God, here we go. None of the other matches had anything that excited me. But for that reason, I have to say, I was quite happily surprised. And also, I'll say this as well. You can take away all the, you can take away Ruby Soho, you can take away Adam Cole, you can take away Daniel Bryan, all coming on the show. The matches themselves were good. Britt Baker, Statlander was a really good match. Very good match. The Women's Battle Royal, I wanted it to last a lot longer. That's my only real gripe. I wanted that to be a lot longer. Yeah. But all the intertwining stories between all the ladies at the moment all kind of came out in the match, which was great. And, Young Bucks, Lucha Bros match was
incredible.
And for a person who is not the biggest fan of the spot type of match, it's still worth. I mean, come on. Phoenix is the greatest performer in wrestling today. I don't care what anyone says. No one can tell me anything different. No one can tell me anything different, bro. No one.
Let me. I haven't made, because obviously what we talk about on this channel, I haven't made my noise about Phoenix on this channel. Of course. I'm gonna take this opportunity to do so.
Go for it, man. Phoenix
over Rey Mysterio.
All day long.
Rey Mysterio is the greatest mask of all time. 100%.
Yeah.
But as an in-ring performer, people always say, oh, but Rey Mysterio in WCW. No, I'm sorry. Rey Phoenix over Rey Mysterio. And that is all.
Rey Phoenix is just the guy. I may even bring him up again in our discussion, actually, to be fair. But to get to the point of us sitting here today, yes.
Before we get there, can I share some good news, which comes with a share of bad news, and I'm sure you've seen this. We had those guys front and center of WWE Raw last night or Monday night that had the signs for what was it, the black wrestling
BRP
BRP
BRP 50
And it also had a support Black Wrestling sign. Very cool, front and center. That got caught up.
Amazing.
In a very first segment when Randy Orton came out, that was straight on camera. Unfortunately, apparently the support Black Wrestling one was taken from them. Apparently, which WWE, that is not cool at
all, man.
I would definitely like to know the reason for that. Because if that was like support maybe some other movement or support our LGBT things, I'm
come on. If that was support women's wrestling, that was support LGBT, ain't no one attempting. No one's attempting to take nothing away on it, cushion nothing. They'll probably ask him to they'll probably make some more.
More like
that's what I'm saying. One of the wrestlers probably would have taken it into the ring. You know what I mean? Something like that. So yeah, man.
Allegedly, fans were saying it was taken. I don't have no 100% credible source, but a lot of fans in that were there said the fan lost that sign because it was taken from them, which isn't cool.
Okay, I believe one of the, as we said, one of the signs was for BRP 50, which is the Black Wrestling Podcast top 50 Black Wrestlers annual list. I believe those guys actually know or are in contact with the guy who did it. So I don't think it was planned. Like they didn't know he was going to do it, but they know who it was. So maybe I can possibly find out, what actually happened with it. They've not said anything to the contrary or anything like that. But, we're just banging on the fact that it was there. You know what I mean? I think it was amazing that it was there. Yeah. Massive, major, great thing to see. Very, very timely as well. Because as you said at the top of the show, we've been talking about this whole thing for weeks. More so AEW and their ethnic forecast, or as something else I like to call it is the Minority Report.
There's too many puns for this thing.
Too many, bro. Too many. AEW All White as the all out card was literally, apart from the Lucha Bros and of course the 5 ladies that were in the Battle Royal, the main card, every singles match just all white. We've been making noise for the last 2 weeks, and this is why it's difficult to talk about it today, because it's been what we've talked about for the last 2 weeks, and it's almost like we've got nothing left to say. But the card came and we saw what it was, and we were just like, what's going on? Obviously, last week we were talking about that Brandy tweet. The week before, not AEW, but we're talking about the shocking events that happened to Bianca Belair at SummerSlam. And since I've returned to Twitter, I think it's probably my fault, but since I've returned to Twitter, we're seeing a lot more, especially today. I've seen a lot of people now coming back to the representation talk, or the lack thereof, of course, in wrestling right now. Interestingly enough, Big Swole was one of them. I think she was more responding to people who were responding negatively to other people saying something. She didn't necessarily say anything, directly. But let's get on to the way to find the solution to this problem. Let me first say this. The problem isn't that there isn't a black champion in AEW right now. That is not the problem. It would solve a problem. It's not the problem. It's not like, that's the only thing AEW can do for us to say, yeah, they're great, they're doing what we want them to do, and we feel represented now, and all that kind of stuff. It's not that far. It really isn't. It's very simple things. We talk about, we've talked about it so many times, the likes of a Scorpio Sky having 2 missed opportunities, or not being used in the way that we expected or could have been. People argue the case of a Will Hobbs or Lee Johnson or Dante Martin, Red Velvet, being in main events or having a big match, or they're being groomed to be great wrestlers, blah, blah, blah. There's an argument in that. There's not an argument, but there's an argument in that. But what, in your mind, what are the solutions to this problem? What to you would be a quite straightforward, very easy, simple solution to this AEW problem that we're all talking about right now?
You know, when obviously we said, you know, we're very professional. We plan our calls, or we plan our meetings, we plan our live streams, and
of course, as best as we can.
When we said that we were having this conversation today, I looked at it, and the problem is that a lot of this stuff is actually happening, but it's how they are treating it, their production behind their stuff.
Right.
Prime example, Big Swole Diamante. That has been a thing on Dark for a while now. People are interested in it. You know, anytime I don't watch Dark, admittedly, that has been the thing I've kind of been keeping my ears to the ground on.
Same.
And those that do watch Dark, the first thing that always telling me is, oh, Big Swole Diamante, they've got a little program on there. Because we all know the thing about Dark is it's pure matches and no stories. So this is a solid story that has been happening, that people are invested in. So much so that a lot of people know the story of it. They've told the story now on their pay-per-view in the Battle Royal as well, that there's extra tension there. So even if you weren't following Dark, you've now seen there's been a bit of afters after the Battle Royal on a pay-per-view, which we
right.
This week on Dark, they're having their match, Diamante versus Big Swole. That could have easily been on Dynamite. At the very minimum, Rampage. Because like I say, it's been a long standing feud that people now know of. You know, promote it to Dynamite, one.
Right.
Or even if you've just seen what happened at the Battle Royal and, you know, these two women have eliminate each other, whatever, fought outside the ring afterwards. Even if that's your entry point, they can now have a fight in front of your eyes on Dynamite or Rampage.
Oh, for sure.
You know, WWE would jump at the opportunity because WWE don't plan nothing. So that for them would be like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, that's on Raw on Monday. Like, they would jump at the opportunity or something like that. And this is just what it is. If you got your ears to the ground, you would see, okay, this feud is picking up steam. Let's actually put it on TV and see how people take to the feuds. Let's see how people take to the characters. Like I said, through how well it's done on Dark, even through what they've done in the Battle Royal, they've had an opportunity to now put it on TV, and they're going to put it on YouTube tonight. So that's one opportunity. Ricky Starks, who, you know, you have said you've been singing his praises from the day he walked in for his TNT opportunity against Cody. We've seen this guy's able. Really and truly, this guy should have never been in Team Taz because he's ready. He doesn't need the mouthpiece of Taz. He doesn't need the protection of like the older guy looking after a bit of younger talents and stuff. He's shown he's above this. Now, at the same time, Ricky Starks is someone that we see the same names banded around, the Jungle Boys, the Darby Allins, and that category of the next gen, if you like, of people that are really going to carry this particular company forward and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Ricky Starks should be there, and his name should easily be there. All these title matches that these lot get, whether it's tag team titles or TNT titles, even world championship opportunities, even though they're losing efforts, Ricky Starks should be there because that would be preparing the viewer in their mind. This guy's next up.
Right.
Like, this guy is amongst Darby. This guy is amongst thing. They've involved him in a lot of Team Taz stuff, a lot of stuff that I've called trash from day one. And it's not really progressing. Even now, he's FTW champion, which is a nothing belt.
Wow.
He's chasing down Brian Cage and this, that, and like dead all of that. Like, put this guy, at least make the FTW champion look good, fighting people, wrestling with people, involved in feuds of people of his caliber. Amongst that class of people that you guys are rating, MJF, this one and this one. You see what I mean? Like, so a lot of the groundwork is there. I mean, Jade Cargill is probably, you know, I'll say even Jade Cargill and Will Hobbs together, they you know, they're gonna be a force either way. They're both being booked as such. In Jade Cargill's case, obviously, is maybe more just being green and, you know, you can't push her too quickly. She still has to learn certain things. but that's fine. Like they're putting her on TV and reminding us of her, pretty frequently. I would say it's okay. Like now it looks like she's actually going to get into a feud with Nyla Rose, which I think is it's the right point to. But yeah, there's Big Swole. We know health issues has held her back. Now she's rebuilding, but like I said, this feud should be on TV. Ricky Starks should be there. There is no excuse for Ricky Starks apart from Team Taz has held him back. Will Hobbs, Jay Cargill, there's still some learning. But one thing I'll say, the groundwork for all of these guys has already been done by AEW. It's like the wrong decisions are being made. If I'm to make like a football analogy or something, in the final third, they're not making the right pass to score.
No finish. Right.
They're making the wrong decision making right when it matters, sort of thing. Especially with this Swole thing, that's going to happen tonight on Dark. So, I'm not fearing, and right now I've got a lot of trust in AEW. I have to say that because of everything we're seeing on the programming. So I'm not fearing for it, but 2 years on the clock has gone and there hasn't been any progress in this department, and that's why we're having the conversation. So,
of course. To address everything that you said, let's go back to the Big Swole Diamante thing. I completely hear, and you're not the only person that has said it today, and since the match has been announced, they're having this 3 strikes match, is it called?
Two out of 3 falls.
I think it's 2 out of 3 with 3 strikes. The first one has to be by pin, second one by submission, the third one by knockout.
Okay.
That in itself is pay-per-view level type stipulation. Like, let's do it. Why is that not on All Out? Even in the the opening show or the first match or the second match on the card or whatever. But here's my thing. I'm actually defending AEW. It sounds so crazy, but here's my thing. It's an indirect defense though, because I'm saying this. This needs to be commonplace on Dark. For me, this has been the problem. This will solve a lot of problems for us in terms of them building stars that we can believe in, stars that look like us and all the rest of it. Because if we had Lee Johnson in feuds with, let's say, Peter Avalon, for example, or one of those that crew there, if Sean Dean was in, something with someone else, Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela have a proper feud on Dark, on Dark shows, we would see the investment, we would see the progression of them. Having matches, squash matches every 2 seconds, like, Jay Cargill's been on a run, Red Velvet's been on a run, Nyla Rose goes on her run on Dark, and they don't lose. But that doesn't then give us the incentive to feel as though, right, I'm invested in these people, because all they're doing is winning and it's leading to nothing. Yes, Red Velvet got a match against Britt Baker, but the writing was on the wall with that. We knew exactly what was going to happen with that. There was nothing to then invest in. It's nice that it kind of turned into a bit of a sub-story with Jamie Hayter and Red Velvet. That's nice to see. It's great. Let that carry on Dark.
Yeah.
So even if it's not on Dynamite, my thing isn't that it has to be on Dynamite. My thing is, let's start from the bottom first. Because if we're having proper stories on Dark shows, we'll see development. And that's what we want to see. I want to see development. I want to see investment. I want to see, you get in your Jungle Boy. So when we talk about MJF, Darby Allin, Jungle Boy isn't up there with Darby Allin and MJF. He's not. But at the same time, we're seeing Jungle Boy every single week. And we're being reminded, if not from his wins, but on commentary, just how good he is all the time. Oh, he's the future, he's this, he's that, blah, blah, blah. Give us a few of those people like that. It's not a problem. Lee Johnson, we had a bit like, 2 weeks after the first week he signed, after his first win. No, Lee Johnson's the future. Disappeared. Then he gets his bum kicked by this person and that person, or he's having matches that mean nothing to nobody on Dark. Dante Martin is a brilliant example of that, actually, because he's not done anything wrong. Nothing wrong has happened to him. He's winning. The The match against Miro was a bit of a pointless thing. But going back to Diamante Swole, I don't mind that it's there. Mm-hmm. I don't mind that it's there. I need to see that more on dark shows. What I would have done, what would have been perfect though, was for the conclusion of the match to be on, as you said, on Rampage or Dark. That would have been perfect. As you said, we've seen the stuff that happened in the Battle Royal on the pay-per-view. So people would then know. All you do is show the little vignette and trailer that's on Twitter at the moment before the match. People would know what's going on and they'd be like, oh, okay, let's watch it. So even if you're not already fully invested, you've got enough substance and a backstory to go with. If it's now appearing in front of you, if you don't watch the YouTube shows, it's good to go. And it's good to go. It's crazy.
Just to jump in, sorry. Another part of this argument, this one particularly, is that generally, because of time constraints on Dynamite, they only have the odd 1 or 2 women's stories, one revolving around the champion and the championship. And then, maybe something else, like Ty Conti's been involved in something else in the last few weeks. So this is a relatively strong story that you could promote to Dynamite to give the women another segment. Like, again, to go with your representation thing that you guys said that you were going to do. Like,
and that's the thing. That's the thing with this as well. It's not just a black representation thing. It's also a female representation thing, because we're seeing often, and I've seen it often enough, where there's only one women's match on the Dynamite card, at least. Dynamite's 2 hours.
Pay-per-view.
On the pay-per-view, we have 2 matches.
It would have been one if Andrade Pac would have happened.
That's true. That is very true. Wow. So yeah, it's one of those, you're kind of kicking yourself in the teeth, because you've got the black representation, you've got the women's representation. It's a very easy thing to solve. And that's the problem with this whole thing, is that there are very easy solutions. It's not, sticking a rocket up someone's bum who isn't ready and who isn't quite there yet, and them jumping over someone else's opportunity and all that kind of. It's none of that at all. It is more so, just giving us stories to be invested in, which helps us to feel as though you're invested in that person. Not just a little flurry here and there. NK, if you can bring up NK's last comment, Dante Martin versus Omega, great match. Don't doubt that for a second. It was great for Dante Martin as well. He put his name in people's faces, his abilities, all the rest of it, amazing. Dante is definitely one for the future. But then at the same time, what's going to happen with Dante Martin from now? Is Dante Martin in a feud that then makes us think, oh, we're invested in him, or in a year or so he'll be up there? Whereas with Jungle Boy, he's had 3, if not 2, opportunities at the World Championship.
I think he has maybe 2 maximum.
2 World Championship, and I think maybe definitely 1 at the TNT as well. And it's kind of like, right, you're showing us that you want this guy to be the future. Like that's it's not about him winning.
You're behaving like it. But to be honest, my opinion on Dante Martin's a bit different, because we all know he's waiting for his brother to return from injury.
That is true.
And they'll reform their tag team. So I don't mind if he's just kind of getting these showcase matches here and there. But if I'm just to run through some of the
go for it. Go for it.
My Space Vid guy says, love Starks. I wish this visual would come off as less as The Rock, though, because he's not The Rock at all. Not a knock, but it does Starks as an injustice. I want to see Starks be Starks. Okay, that's an opinion, definitely. Yusuf Omar, hi guys, is this the end for Lashley? Okay, we'll come back to this.
We'll come back to that one.
About the
Definitely.
WWE stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
SCW, the wrestling channel, Steve says Starks is an incredible talent. Always enjoy watching him on screen. Wondered your thoughts on Scorpio Sky. Has a lot of charisma and in-ring talent. Would love to see him get a major push. Steve, with Scorpio Sky, I'm hands off now. I just don't care anymore. I think he's had chances, and whether it's him or the AEW higher ups, I don't really know, but there is clearly something that's not connecting enough for him to stay there. Because at least for him, we have to be honest, he's had chances.
That's very true. That's very true. I mean, again, I see a little bit more of an AEW problem, but at the same time, we've been given Scorpio Sky. And for me though, here's the thing. So this is why I say it's a bit more of an AEW issue more than it is a Scorpio Sky issue. We believed he could have been TNT champion both times he went for it. Neither time did we think, oh, he's going to lose. Neither time. We didn't think he was going to lose. We thought he was going to win. So for me, when you're talking about connection and all the rest of it and believable and blah, 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 it was there. It was actually there. They could have pulled the trigger and boom, putting TNT championship on him and then maybe see what happened after that. That's a completely different story altogether. Ricky Starks, I'm sorry, there is no excuse whatsoever. We want to talk about what people need. And for some strange reason, even other black fans always come back with, oh, but who's ready? Which black star would you put there? And that, none of them are ready, blah, blah. Ricky Starks, hello. The guy has literally everything he needs to be a major star. And I'll even go as far as being a world champion. Yes, that needs to be built properly, but I mean, I'm not a booker. I don't know what that experience is. I don't know how that knowledge completely. I'm just a fan. But to me, I would push this guy there. There's no reason to wait apart from building a proper story. That is it. He's got everything. So I'm just like, I don't get it.
Genuinely, with Ricky Starks, even with black fans, like you said, I think what it generally is, and this sounds so stupid, but I genuinely think this is what it is because his tone of skin color isn't
right. No, listen, here's the crazy thing.
It probably just goes over people's heads that this is actually a black man.
Here's the crazy thing. Almost every single time I post about Ricky Starks, whatever the hell it is, at least one person, Ricky Starks is black.
Yeah.
I've even had people tell me he's not black. Anyway, so yeah, for me, that's that. If there's no one else, that's the one guy.
If I just run through these, these guys. NK says done. We done this one. Ricky Starks is the future. I see him as a TNT champion down the line. This team Taz feud needs to end. He's carried that team. Sure. Steve goes back to saying such a great point, would be much more inclined to watch Stark and Elevation if there was more story and less squash matches. Wins only go so far if you then end up on Rampage to lose like Red Velvet or Big Swole on the anniversary Dynamite show last year. Yeah, that's true. Naomi total knockout. Hard to watch Dark because it's so predictable who is winning on Dark. Whoever's theme music and Titron plays is who's winning the match. Don't even give jobbers an entrance to present their character. That is very true.
Wow.
We'll come back to the WWE ones in a second, guys. Naomi also says, sad how someone as great as Scorpio Sky is the sidekick to Ethan Page, and seems like black wrestlers in AEW need to be paired with a non-person of color to be featured on Dynamite. Anybody else notice that? This isn't something I have to be honest, but
interesting. I'm sure on a majority level that's definitely the case. That is interesting. I mean, to move the conversation on just a little bit now, and we mentioned the great entrances. I just thought in case of comment. If I speak about Scorpio, yeah, but I hear you. So we saw all these amazing stars come from WWE. Contracts ended, 90-day clauses have ended. The timing was near perfect for all of them. So we saw Ruby Soho, formerly Ruby Riott, turn up as the Joker in the Women's Battle Royal, went on to win, which is amazing. Absolutely love Ruby. Always been a massive fan of hers, always. And Adam Cole, I saw the. Listen, I want to play. I should have got you guys to play the video of you when you saw Adam Cole come out. Those videos are amazing. So Adam Cole came out, of course. Then only minutes later, Daniel Bryan comes out. Absolutely phenomenal, crazy. And I mentioned, of course, whenever we talk about this whole lack of representation in AEW, the kickback usually is, but who's ready, but who's ready? Here's a question of actually not including WWE stars who are currently under contract. What black star is out there that you think would garner any type of real pop? Now, it's not going to be Adam Cole level. It's not going to be Daniel Bryan level. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. Those two are just in a different world. Of course, CM Punk as well. But let's say maybe even Andrade, Aleister Black, Malachi Black level. Which black star at the moment do you think could garner that type of response if they signed with AEW?
I think Ricochet for sure. Guaranteed. Ricochet was a star before WWE. I don't even know if WWE has done anything for his stardom, if I'm completely honest.
I doubt it very much. No, I don't think they have actually.
In NXT, you know, he really brought that indie flavor and stuff like that as well. But since the main roster, he's won the US title, but hasn't really done, you know, anything groundbreaking. But just for internet fans and everyone else that loves AEW and loves this kind of stuff, to see Ricochet walk through the door at AEW, that basically says I'm back on my crud. Like
right.
No caps to what I can do in the ring. I'm back, sort of thing.
I think that's very similar to why CM Punk came back, to the excitement Daniel Bryan has. Ruby Soho as well, and a few others. I think for me to answer the question, go on.
I was just gonna say, out of left field, I don't watch much of Ring of Honor, but I'm seeing what Shane Taylor's doing, and I need that on the main stage.
Shane Taylor promotion set up at AEW. That's the game change.
I need some bully boy thing.
That's the game change. That's some Farouk Nation of Domination type stuff.
I need some of that. Yeah.
STP versus the Elite. That's like Nation Domination versus Heart Foundation back in the day, bro. Yeah, that would be crazy. NK actually kind of answered the question for me. A name that I was going to mention is Jay Lethal. I don't know if the last year or so has been great for him, and if it's damaged his reputation at all. I'm not sure, but obviously we know Jay Lethal was so over. He's like the most decorated wrestler in Ring of Honor. But another guy for me that I think would absolutely kill, people would go crazy for, is another guy in Ring of Honor. He's very, very close to Jay Lethal, and that's Jonathan Gresham. I think fans would go absolutely nuts because he's a massive favorite for the AEW guys who are also massive fans of indie promotions such as PWG, GCW, those kind of places, those kind of rough and ready. This is what we do. There's no holds barred. Like, this is it. And Jonathan Gresham is just ready.
I've got goosebumps here thinking of Gresham versus Danielson. I'm here trying to erase the goosebumps.
My heart stopped for a little second then. Oh, wow. That would be crazy, bro. That would be crazy. And that is definitely something so many people want to see. So many people want to see that. I think for me, Gresham is that guy. I think the one guy, I think it's guaranteed that he would get a massive pop. Guys that I think would be good for AEW, but not necessarily garner that big, massive pop or, massive expectation. I think they've dropped the ball. We've said it many times before. They dropped the ball with Moose when he was feuding with Kenny Omega. I think they dropped the ball with they could have maybe put Chris Bay in there at some point. Trey Miguel would be phenomenal in an AEW ring against almost anybody. Yeah. So there are more than enough people out there that are good enough to be, AEW worthy, I guess. I don't know why I use that, but something like that.
I would love to see heel Cedric Alexander with a heel Big Swole.
Ooh.
Them two just misbehaving on Dynamite, on Rampage, on Dark, whatever.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting. And you know what? I'm actually quite interested to see now. I believe there's something happening with Kiera Hogan. Like, they've got their eyes very firmly fit. You know, she's not signed yet, but I think
they know she's good. They know they've
only time will tell. Only time will tell. She'll be signed, you know, in the next few months or so. Whether they do a program with her alongside her real life girlfriend Diamante, or not, you know, yeah. I think Kiera Hogan's got a future there. Obviously, she was in Battle Royal as well. She had 3 matches in 1 week, all losing efforts, but she's the newbie, not unsigned, so that happens anyway. It doesn't matter who you are. She got
her first win on
yesterday,
the other day.
Last night, I believe. Yeah. So that tells you a lot. That tells you a lot with the way things work in that place. So yeah, you know, that's encouraging indeed. As I said, kind of halfway through this, like, the problems that we talk about with AEW's misrepresentation, more so of us as black wrestlers and black fans and all the rest of it. The solutions are very simple. They are actually very simple. Again, it's not about this whole so-and-so must be a champion and this person must be in the exact same position as MJF or whatever else. It's just show us that you care, or that it just needs to be consistent. I think that's what's lacking, is the consistency. We've seen flashes of Swole, Lee Johnson, Jade Cargill's, you know, kind of the hot topic at the moment. We've seen flashes of Red Velvet. Will Hobbs, Ricky Starks is kind of floating around at the moment. Dante Martin, it's always these little flashes, but there's never no consistency, and that's the problem. I think that for me is the problem.
If we're honest with ourselves, the only person out of these names are mentioning that is more or less ready to become a champion, a recognized champion of a real title, is Ricky Starks.
Ricky Starks, of course.
The way programming is happening right now, he's probably missed this window. You know, when he was initially in AEW and who was champion around that time, and I'm talking TNT championship, by the way. Miro, he's not beaten now, but he could have a good feud. But what they tend to do is they're having Miro beat, you know, baby faces and stuff like that. So with Starks being a heel, he probably won't even get an opportunity.
Not for now.
Right now. But yeah, he's ready to go. You can put the TNT title on him, you know, tomorrow, sort of thing. Everyone else still needs a level of build, and like you said, we're not here asking you to make anyone champion overnight. It's literally just a case of put these guys in good enough positions that the crowd become familiar with them. You know, if Brandy, going back to Brandy's initial tweet and stuff, if you are talking about merchandising and making money and making, you know, buying into these people, we have to see them to buy, you know, CM Punk has had t-shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees this whole time when he's been, you know, out of commission and not wrestling. The minute you put him on TV, look what happened.
Boom. The site crash
sells out.
Of course.
Out of sight, out of mind, basically. You're not putting it in front of us, we ain't gonna know.
Strong point, bro. Strong point. And that's the thing. And this is why, for me, the simple solution, the first thing you do is have the storylines and feuds, proper storylines and feuds on Dark. That will then snowball everything else to happen, and naturally, and all the rest of it. Nothing that needs to be forced. Nothing that needs to be any kind of tick box type of solution, or making sure that there's at least one blackface on the card, on a pay-per-view, and all. It's none of that. It will then become genuine if they start from the ground of having some more substance to these YouTube shows. 100%. And that's where it starts. So this is why, for me, the whole Diamante Big Swole thing doesn't have to be. It's definitely good enough to be on Dynamite or Rampage, but it doesn't have to be. But at the same time, then the consistency of stories has to continue on Dark. I'm now exhausted. I can just about breathe. So let's move on to WWE. Go back to the comment that was made. I think it was about Bobby Lashley very early on in the show. If you can go back to that, I think it will kick off the discussion quite well.
So Yusuf Omar said, hi guys, is this the end for Lashley, as I don't see the WWE title not being defended in Saudi. So he is either losing to Orton at Extreme Rules or to Goldberg at the Saudi pay-per-view.
Interesting point. Very good question. You can definitely see it that way. Definitely easily see it that way. I think me and you have learned, not to predict anything when it comes to Lashley because we always get it wrong.
Yeah, that's
so I'm not going to predict anything. I don't really see an all-out conclusion to what's happening with Lashley right now. We know, or there's the possibility. I didn't watch every little bit of Raw this week. I've seen highlights of the tag team turmoil stuff. But it's looking like we're getting, Lashley Orton. Lashley is WWE champion. Randy Orton is one half of the Raw tag team champions. Extreme Rules is coming up. Is it going to be one match for winner takes all? Or are we going to have two matches with both of them involved? Like what's going on?
So this is the way I see it, yeah. Lashley's title reign is basically on hold until December. Like everything he's going to do between now and December is insignificant. I feel he's just going to accumulate days as champion, really. So this month he's taking on Randy Orton. That's what they set up on Raw. He's taking on Randy Orton for the WWE title at Extreme Rules. Randy Orton's tag team champion right now. I think he's going to beat Randy Orton. This is just to give it, another big name, a credible name for him to win. Randy Orton can take a loss to Bobby Lashley. That's no issue for Randy. And then they're gonna get back on board with the Goldberg stuff. Now I'm sure there's gonna be the Saudi pay-per-view, of course. I'm sure there'll probably be another, USA-based pay-per-view in what do you call it?
November.
Yeah, in what month are we now? October.
Okay.
So maybe, that I don't know about that one, but it's the Saudi show. The way they're angling the Goldberg thing is that Goldberg doesn't care about the title now. He just come in for Bobby. So the WWE title will be on display in Saudi, but depending how they book it, it may not necessarily be on the line. And then Goldberg can beat Bobby Lashley. And then as we get into November, we know that Survivor Series, Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley, and we know who will come out on top. Great match, great spectacle. I'm looking forward to that. But I think it's obvious who's going to come out on top.
Do you see, and I've asked this question before a couple of weeks ago, but do you see the possibility though of it being Goldberg, Roman Reigns at Survivor Series?
Yes, because that's what they wanted to do at WrestleMania. So
very true.
It's very possible that he could lose in Saudi. Goldberg's won in Saudi before. He killed off the field in Saudi.
He's the guy.
So yeah, maybe that's where Goldberg should be wrestling his matches from now on.
Trust me, that's the only place. I think that's the only place where the fans believe in him anymore. To be honest.
Yeah. So maybe Bobby does drop it in October, but even so, I still think there's a if it's the first way I said where he loses to Goldberg but still WWE champion, and then loses to Roman but is still WWE champion because there's no titles on the line at Survivor Series. Some damage could be done to Bobby Lashley because he's lost 2 high-profile matches going into December. So it'll be interesting to see how they book it. But I still think if we're looking at the landscape of Raw, who's going to beat him for this title anyway? Like, I think he just keeps it and they figure it out. They ask themselves the question. Come December.
True. I mean, what's interesting is in August and actually up until this week, obviously he won yesterday, won his match yesterday. But in August, apart from his match with Goldberg, he never won a match. I think he had about 2, maybe 3 matches, never won a match. And of course, with the match that he had yesterday, he got beaten up, attacked, got, 2-handed chokeslam from Omos, and then RKO from Randy Orton. It's kind of like, and I don't know what's happening on Raw right now because all the champions seem to be losing and it's making no sense whatsoever. And it's kind of happened like 2 weeks in a row. And I'm just like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? It's crazy. But I think it's very similar to what you're saying in the sense where he's just going to float. He's just going to be there, have dealings with whoever, not going to lose the title. possibly with Goldberg, it's not easy to call in terms of whether it's going to be, the match is going to be for the championship. He could win in Saudi. The only people who are, 20 years behind and still believe Goldberg's still on a winning streak.
On a winning streak.
So, that's a possibility. It's a strong possibility that could happen, just so we get the spectacle. On paper, sounds great. Roman Reigns versus Goldberg, but we'll see. Yeah, read that.
Yeah. Gerard Bonner in the chat. Thanks for joining.
Yes, sir.
He says, let's also remember Goldberg nearly killed Undertaker in Saudi as well. Look, we done said it already. Goldberg is formidable. He's a formidable force in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
It is what it is.
Right. He's a formidable force, bro. And this is coming from the same people who, when they first did the show in Saudi, they were asking for Yokozuna and Ultimate Warrior.
Imagine.
But yeah.
Imagine.
But yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, it is what it is with this booking. I mean, the Raw whole thing in Raw, like the tag team title right now, all of a sudden it's like the top title on Raw with Randy Orton.
You know what? I must say it was entertaining. That match was very entertaining. It was amazing to see what the New Day was doing. But it's kind of come out of nowhere, and it's mixing everyone together. And I'm just like, this is it. Eventually, I guess more so coming towards the end, when I think it was when Lashley, actually I think it was when AJ Styles and almost got involved in the match. It again became this kind of, lazy type of thing. Like, why is the WWE champion messing with the Raw tag team champions when you've just shown us 5 other teams in the division? We thought that there was nobody in this tag division. You've just shown us 5 other teams, but yet want to involve the world champ, the WWE champion
in there as well, bruv. It's like literally. I read this morning that they were maybe the higher ups, the powers that be, were salivating over Omos and Bobby Lashley. Just that little coming together. Man are saying that Omos is gonna get a world title shot, bro. I don't know what's going on in that place.
As a spectacle, it looked phenomenal. For Omos to be standing over Bobby Lashley and so tall and so big, it looked amazing. And to add to it, the BRP 50 sign just behind them as well. That was amazing. That was amazing. But it'd be way too early for Omos to get a shot. Not simply because he's still green. Yeah, but because it would be too early for him to also lose. Such a big opportunity as well. It's kind of pointless. He shouldn't be nowhere near Bobby Lashley right now, to be very honest. He shouldn't be there at all. And if this was if what happened on Raw is a one-time thing and there's no kind of revisiting, okay, cool, fair enough. It was part of this whole, tag team and melee of bodies being in the ring. Cool, no problem. Don't have, Lashley call out Omos or AJ Styles call out Lashley and then Omos and Lashley go for it. I'm not here for it. It's amazing it's 2 black men, but let's make sense of it, please. Just make sense of it, please. But I don't know. I mean, another thing that you talked about, actually, let's touch on this very quickly. Another thing that you talked about, we wanted to think of the things that we're going to talk about today, was Bianca Belair and what her match could possibly be at Extreme Rules. A name that you threw at me, which kind of threw me. I was like, okay, you're going to have to explain this one for me. Sasha Banks. I thought about it for a second though, and I was like, with Becky Lynch kind of, dodging Bianca Belair and not accepting the challenge and blah, 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 are we going to get some type of thing with Sasha, interrupting the whole shebang, and then eventually whoever wins that goes for Becky Lynch? What's your thought on it? What was that?
So I hold my hands up. Maybe I just had Sasha Banks on the mind or something. She does that to a man. I did mean Becky Lynch.
Okay, fair enough.
However, Sasha could very much get involved here because it may not be very productive for Becky to pin Bianca Belair again.
Right.
So Sasha might come in and cause some type of, disruption in the match or something like that. Or at least if Bianca is going to get pinned, it's not a clean finish. You see,
not a clean finish. Right.
But yeah, I think they've more or less cemented that match. Sonya Deville said it on SmackDown. The match is going to happen. I think they've announced it for Extreme Rules. They haven't said the stipulation being Extreme Rules. Maybe we'll get some type of stipulation. But just wanted to highlight Bianca Belair's promo on SmackDown, which I thought was phenomenal. She's standing across the ring from probably one of the biggest stars in WWE today, by hook or by crook, whether you rate Becky or not, that's who she is. And she delivered this relatively long monologue about, how good she is, that she's not making any excuses. She should have been ready for Becky, and that she's the strongest because of this. She's the toughest because of this, that, and the other. With her sass and everything as well included. It wasn't like she was just trying to remember lines. Right. And I just think she's done a brilliant job. Like, I was watching her in awe, thinking of, man, like proud dad. Like, I used to watch you in NXT coming up, and look at you now. Like, you've just done an excellent job. Like, I was honestly well proud of her. Like, it was so good. Sure. And, it ended with Becky just kind of no-selling the whole thing in the end by, no-selling the challenge, and walking out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it was a really good segment, and I don't want to see Bianca get pinned again. Like I said, if they're gonna, that's the way they're gonna go. Becky's gonna keep the championship. They better do something to kind of, soften the blow.
I'm hoping that whatever this stipulation is, it's some type of thing where Becky cannot escape. So whether that's a cage match, whether that is possibly Falls Count Anywhere or something like that. Because obviously this whole thing has been Becky, fleeing from Bianca's challenges and just denying her and all that kind of thing. So stipulation-wise, I think it's going to be something like that, where there's a clear winner, and to where actually there's no DQ. It opens the door then for someone to get involved and do something, or Becky to do something illegal to then beat Bianca. No clean finish. If it's a clean finish, forget about it. Sasha's back. Bianca's back down, in the performance center trying to work out what's next, because it was kind of pointless. But at the same time, I don't see this thing lasting long. I see some type of ending to the feud. If not at the pay-per-view, within a week or so of that pay-per-view, because Becky's not losing the title.
Yeah.
Bianca's not regaining it. She's not regaining it. So it's kind of like that's the end of it for a time, at least. I don't think I'm not expecting to see the end of Bianca Belair. She's never going to go for the title again, or probably even will face Becky again a few months down the line, possibly regain it somehow. But it won't be at her first attempt. It definitely won't be at her first attempt. I know that much. That's how I see it.
Naomi Total Knockout says Becky Lynch is doing her best Conor McGregor impression. I definitely see it.
Yeah,
I definitely see it. But with them trying to turn her heel, I don't even know if that's a good idea, because again, people like Conor McGregor. They like the whole attitude, and Conor McGregor's whole persona is basically built of being like a WWE guy in the UFC. Yeah. So
right.
Yeah, Gerard Bonner says, I do think Bianca will gain the belt back, not immediately, but likely by Survivor Series or the Rumble.
Possibly.
I think there's a strong possibility of, some way down the line still, but Bianca at least walking into WrestleMania as champion before they maybe crown a new champion, or Sasha Banks can, they run that match back because they never ran it back at SummerSlam, and Sasha Banks can actually get a big moment at WrestleMania. Like, that's a strong possibility. Gerard goes on to say WWE will have to do something with Bianca, as she's among the newest stars they've actually created. Very true.
And I think that's a massive advantage for Bianca Belair. She's someone they actually created. Completely homegrown, very similar to most of the four horsewomen. Yes, I think all of them, apart from Charlotte, had a decent level of wrestling experience beforehand, but they didn't become stars on the indies or anything like that. They're probably just known within their small bubble or the state that they were in. But yeah, I think that's a massive advantage for Bianca going forward and for the future. With the little time that we have left, we've got 5 minutes left. Let us go down the road in the deepest, darkest depths of our minds to try and work out who our stars of the week are. I actually have a very, very strong idea already. I had to think about this, but it actually came quite easily. Xavier Woods. Tag team turmoil match on Raw last night. Involved about 6 to 7 teams. The New Day were one of the first teams. They defeated about 4 teams. And Xavier Woods got every single pin. Xavier Woods got the win for every single one of them. A couple roll-ups, a couple, counters to a finisher and all that kind of stuff. But Xavier Woods looked amazing in that match throughout the matches, should I say. It was great to see Kofi Kingston back in the ring. He was out for a couple of weeks, and it's they're doing their whole NWO thing, with National Hall like attire. But Xavier Woods just looked great, and there's something that he tweeted. I think it was this morning, if not last night, that he loves tag team wrestling, and I kind of was a little bit upset by that. In a sense where I'm waiting for the Xavier Woods singles run.
And exactly that, I think it's just a little bit of a swerve. Because I genuinely think they are warming him up for this King of the Ring.
Yeah, I think so. I really hope so. I really, really hope so. It kind of just, I've said it before in so many different places, so many different ways, but it just makes no sense whatsoever for me now for them to have King of the Ring and it not be for Xavier Woods. Like, it just makes sense. King Xavier, King Creed. We're not going to hear that on WWE, but King Creed just sounds amazing. Yeah. He'd just be phenomenal. We know how good he can be as a performer, as, on the mic, developing a character. Every King of the Ring becomes a character in some way as well. So, yeah, for me, Xavier Woods is my guy for this week. Definitely.
Cool. I'll just answer this quickly before I move on to mine. Batman 901 says, do you feel like they're going to have Bianca beat the 4 Horsewomen? I do think that could be an eventuality, within the next few years. The biggest statement, I guess, she's beaten Sasha Banks, which is a massive, step forward. Becky as well will be a massive statement. Bailey, she's beaten. So, Charlotte, the head of the table, if you like, of these guys. That would be the crowning moment for me.
And it was something she actually said in an interview with Ryan Satin about a month ago. She said that it's one of her goals to be, down as, I think she'd be the first to beat all 4 Horsewomen. That just sounds crazy. I would have thought down the line, someone like at least Alexa Bliss would have done that by now. Or Asuka would have done that by now. I don't know. I have to check record books and all the rest of it, but apparently she would be if she did it, soon enough. But that would be massive.
I'll go quickly. My star of the week is going to be Jade Cargill. I think I've liked during the week. I think on Rampage you saw a little segment of her doing the backstage beat up with Nyla Rose.
That was phenomenal. That was an amazing 30 seconds of TV. I'm sorry, that was great.
It was so good. Obviously, they were responsible for Julia Hart not actually entering the Battle Royal. Then when she went in, the bar that I was in when I was watching this like everyone literally gasped when they saw her on the entranceway as if they've never seen Jade Cargill before.
Nice.
And this is majority a bunch of middle-aged white men. Like, look at her. Like,
like a bit of that love.
Literally, like, so that and alone was enough to get me like, it's you this week. And she had a pretty good performance within the Battle Royal before being dumped by Nyla. Like we said earlier, we hope that her and Nyla can spiral off into something good now. So yeah, Jade Cargill for me.
Quick question then with those two, actually, Nyla and Jade, both of them currently playing heels. Obviously we're very used to not seeing 2 heels go at it, especially not in a feud, one-off matches maybe, in a Battle Royal happens often. Do you think they're the right opponents for each other now? I would have thought Thunder Rosa may be a little bit better for Jade Cargill. Nyla Rose isn't bad. Of course, we know she's a former champion, but I just feel as though it should be someone else who has a very similar standing. Possibly just not with Nyla right now.
You're 100% right. Thunder Rosa should have went off with Jade Cargill, which would have helped her progression as a wrestler. Julia Hart should have went off with Nyla Rose. So Julia is still very green herself. Just that David and Goliath kind of thing as well. And that's also there with Jade and Thunder Rosa. So they could have split those two faces, split in the two heels as well. Yeah, that probably would be a good option. But these two will probably just have a one-off match. I don't think it'll be a feud. They might see a couple of backstage, sparring of the words, but the actual match within the feud, I only think is only going to be a one and done.
I kind of see, if I'm honest, I see it, or I don't know if I'm seeing it or I just want it. More of a Cesaro Sheamus type of thing. Okay. They feud, and then become a strong team together. Not necessarily a tag team necessarily, but I've got your back, you've got mine. We're on the same page, because they kind of showed that in that segment when they beat Julia Hart, and that chemistry that they had when they came together and shouted the same thing at each other. For me, was another indication of that as well. And way back when Jade kind of first started feuding with Red Velvet, Nyla Rose was kind of there as well. So there's something that they can build on and become something. If it means them going at it and doing, as I said, the Cesaro, Sheamus, or Timothy Thatcher, Tommaso Ciampa thing, that I think that would work as well. Let's read that last comment.
Says Jade Cargill made a comment on her IG about Nyla Rose yesterday, I think.
Yes, she did. She did say basically that she's gonna beat her. Like, it's a done deal. Like, that's Jade or Rando. You follow Jade on a Twitter. She's so arrogant, but it's.
I love it though. Like,
it's perfect.
I honestly wish that wrestlers have like an account on social media for their wrestler, and then if they want their own personal account, they go and do that elsewhere, like under another name. Like, I love it. Like, it helps the continuity of everything.
And yeah, she runs her social media perfectly. But folks, on that note, we are about to run our own social medias after we come off here, because there's a lot to talk about right now on Twitter. I'm glad I'm back, but it's taking so much time. I feel like I'm neglecting Instagram at the moment, but I'll be there. Follow me on Black Wrestling Alliance on Instagram, and of course Black Wrestling A on Twitter. I am back. I'm making up noise, probably too much, upsetting some people. I don't care. And you can follow this guy on WrestleManiac.uk on Instagram and WrestleManiac UK on Twitter. Folks, that's the end of it. Thanks for joining us, everyone that joined us. Thanks for listening, everyone that will listen and is listening. We are out. Peace out, guys.